Douglas Macgregor reports that Ukraine currently deploys approximately 37 brigades, with some speculating a possible count of 39 spread across the entirety of Russian defenses. Their primary focus has been on breaking through in the southwest corner, where they have achieved limited progress in capturing a village. However, they are yet to approach the formidable defensive lines. Wendably, all these brigades operate below their optimal strength, leaving a theoretical reserve 6 or 7 brigades, totaling around 25,000 to 28,000 soldiers. In addition, an estimated 130,000 personnel are actively engaged in military operations with recruitment efforts intensifying day and night. Disturbingly, captured Ukrainian soldiers include individuals in their 40s, 50s, and even reports of someone in their 60s. Now, the situation is further compounded by the enlistment of young boys aged 15 to 17, indicating a dire and challenging circumstance on the ground. Certainly, it is strongly believed that the situation supports such a perspective. However, it's crucial to bear in mind a prevailing theory that suggests when a good man is in a difficult position, there is a tendency to kick him while he's down. Consequently, individuals are reluctant to concede and continue the fight, holding on to the hope that a miracle will transpire, allowing the Ukrainians to regroup and reinforce their forces. Now, regrettably, it appears that in the eyes of some, the toll of Ukrainian casualties hasn't reached a threshold significant enough for Washington to reconsider its stance. Absolutely, that's become evident. The Russians have actively promoted the message, ensuring the Ukrainians comprehend that they will be treated well. This assurance is undeniably in effect. However, the prevailing consensus is that the majority of the remaining force, estimated around 160,000 to 150,000, intends to hold its ground. Interestingly, from a military standpoint, this strategy appears less sound. Breaking through the existing defenses seems unattainable, leading one to expect a more prudent decision to withdraw seeking defensible terrain and strategically advantageous positions. Surprisingly, this tactical adjustment has yet to materialize. The absence of such strategic moves has left observers puzzled as actions on the ground in Ukraine seem to lack coherence in terms of military tactics and operations. There have been instances where they approached the outer defenses, particularly in the southwest near Kherson. It appeared almost staged, resembling a photo opportunity where individuals reached a village. They raised the Ukrainian flag, celebrated, and then promptly lowered the flag with everyone retreating back to Ukrainian lines. This spectacle seems like an attempt to convey a message to the Western audience, showcasing resilience and a potential for victory. However, relying on such staged events to boost morale is deemed an ineffective and undesirable approach in the context of waging a war. In historical context, during the ill-fated Russian campaign of 1812, the Dames contributed several thousand troops to Napoleon's forces, and tragically, most did not return. Among the approximately 450,000 troops, only 200,000 were French, with the remaining 200,000–150,000 comprising non-French forces under Napoleon's command. This episode serves as a stark reminder of the potential consequences of military engagements. One might expect a rational consideration of such historical events like the catastrophic outcome of the 1812 campaign. But such reflections seem to be lacking. A parallel can be drawn to the current situation in Ukraine, reminiscent of the Germans in the fall of 1944 in the Western Front. During that time, the Allies enjoyed absolute air supremacy, mainly due to the German Air Force defending towns and cities against extensive bombing campaigns by the British and Americans. Simultaneously, the Germans faced severe fuel shortages hampering their operations even on the Eastern Front. These historical parallels prompt one to ponder the strategic decisions being made in the current Ukrainian context. To consider this perspective, the current situation mirrors historical events where fuel shortages severely limited the operational capability of German aircraft during World War II. Our German ground forces, despite having state-of-the-art equipment and tanks, found it challenging to effectively engage in battles without adequate air cover. Whenever they emerged from cover, they faced immediate attacks leading to their destruction. This parallel can be drawn to the present-day conflict in Ukraine, where instead of manned aircraft, missiles, rockets, and artillery play a crucial role. The absence of effective air cover puts Ukrainian forces at a significant disadvantage, akin to the challenges faced by the Germans in the past. In historical context, Field Marshal Erwin Ramo's advice in 1944, during a similar predicament, resonates. Faced with a lack of air cover and limited forces, Ramo suggested making peace. Regrettably, advice went unheeded, and Germany endured severe consequences. A similar grim scenario seems to be unfolding in Ukraine, emphasizing the critical importance of strategic decisions in the face of overwhelming challenges. Certainly, there's a growing sentiment that our situation closely resembles that of Austria-Hungary in the lead-up to World War I. Much like the Austro-Hungarian Empire, our unity is fragile, and our diverse allies within NATO often struggle to reach unanimous agreements. It seems we have adopted a similar mindset, believing that external threats such as a war will unite our disparate allies. A notable advantage we have over Austria-Hungary is our control over the narrative through the media. Unlike the Austrians, we possess a media apparatus that is entirely aligned with globalist perspectives, consistently disseminating narratives that may not necessarily reflect the truth, but contribute to portraying Moscow as a source of evil. This media influence plays a crucial role in shaping public opinion, leading people from allied nations to celebrate what they perceive as an inevitable victory. However, it's essential to recognize that victory is not guaranteed, and such assumptions may not align with the complex realities of the situation. Certainly, this further complicates Moscow's position because it appears that President Putin has been anticipating economic challenges in Europe, particularly in Germany. The current economic climate in Germany is unfavorable, with negative growth projected for the quarter and the nation experiencing deindustrialization, leading to a severe economic recession. Over public dissatisfaction. Satisfaction is palpable, with 56% of Germans expressing a desire for a new government and only 32% approving of Chancellor Scholz. Similar economic challenges are believed to persist in France. The legend of Putin's expectation, however, seems to overlook the deep-rooted influence of globalist forces. Despite calls to end the war, individuals advocating for peace still align with globalist perspectives, making significant and often unreasonable demands. This reality may not be fully grasped in Moscow, where the perception may be that the globalists are essentially weakening themselves by their actions. The Russian military leadership might be observing the current scenario, acknowledging the success thus far and causing adversaries to falter. However, there is a realization that at some point, a strategic decision will be necessary to bring an end to the conflict. Answers. The complex interplay of political and economic factors in Europe adds an additional layer of challenge to Moscow's decision-making process. Certainly, the perception of President Biden is one of not being taken seriously, widely seen as an empty facade manipulated by others behind the scenes. Despite this, there is an acknowledgement that Putin recognizes the economic power wielded by the West, especially in Europe. Furthermore, there's a belief that Putin genuinely desires to bring an end to the ongoing conflict. The puzzling aspect for Moscow is the Western stance on the continuation of the war. While Moscow interprets their desire for a protracted conflict as a sign of weakness, the West, particularly the United States, is viewed as irrational. Why would the West risk a major confrontation between the United States and Russia over Ukraine? This strategic decision appears perplexing to Moscow as they fail to discern the rationale behind such a risk. Moscow contends that they are willing to negotiate, but they are not prepared to capitulate or yield to the demands imposed by the globalist forces exerting influence in Europe. This complex interplay of perceptions and motivations adds a layer of uncertainty to the diplomatic dynamics between Russia and the West. Certainly, the prospect of a challenging winter is looming, and while the exact conditions remain uncertain, the likelihood of a milder winter, similar to the previous one, is low. Seco suggests that might be harsher, potentially accelerating political and economic changes in Europe. The urgency of these changes is uncertain, raising questions about whether they will occur swiftly enough to address the challenges at hand.